What is going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video review. Today we are going to take a look at Iron Man Mark 6 2.0, the diecast version. And well, you can't pre-order this anymore. I believe it's out of stock, but when it becomes available, make sure you are subscribed because I'll post it on my channel. I bought this at bigbadtoystore.com. I think the one with the gantry or the setup is still available, but I'll double check. But let's take a look at the box. It is it's a standard die-cast box. Now you pull it from the side. It's nice and shiny. It does have that sticker though, which is kind of weird. Some people do remove them. I don't. I don't care. I'm not gonna stare at this box again. After unboxing this, I'll put it back in the shipper and forget about it. But let's take a look at this. So this is the second version now of Mark 6 as a diecast. And the first one I did have, it's somewhere in this review, on my archive. That one has a nicer base, like a mini setup, like I don't know what you call that, the gantry or whatever. It does still come with this battle damage pieces, which I do like. I appreciate this, because they do change the complexion of the figure. It feels like a different figure once, even though it's just the chest and the faceplate. I appreciate it. I almost hope that all Iron Man figures has one. And then you got the neck piece if you want to use this awesome rolling eyeball system melting face of Tony Stark. And you got some, the usual hands that we are going to tackle more in the accessory section. But this is the figure itself. I don't have the 1.0 version anymore. I sold that a while back. Back then, I still do think that the original armor kind of looks the same. Like when I stare, and I know they're different when I stare at this and Mark 4 and Mark 7. I can't help to feel like, why do I have this armors? But I have a brand new appreciation for them now compared to initially when it first came out. It's because there's not a whole lot of Marvel coming out right now, and I don't know. I've just been longing for an Iron Man / OG Tony Stark figure. Now the base is looking like this, just a normal crotch grabber base. It doesn't have the which I'm glad, don't get me wrong, the flight pole stand. I have so many of those. I don't want one anymore. And this comes separately now, the tweezers, the screwdriver, the mini screwdriver, and the tool for rolling eyeball system. What we don't see a whole lot now is, maybe we have the little pusher, kind of thing. But yeah, that's what it all comes with, and we'll take a closer look at that. So you get two repulsor hands, two articulated finger hands, and two that are kind of like I call it the laser pointer gun. And this is the articulated fingers for those who are not familiar with an Iron Man figure. Now for Mark 6, the flap on the wrist is included, and it is articulated as well. For both hands as well. And now you can see this where you can insert the pink laser blaster in there, or laser effect. It kind of like comes out of his forearm. It looks pretty cool. I wish there was a light, so it would look a little better. I just don't know how it would work. Maybe from the wrist, because the wrist is for the repulsor, the hand repulsor. So this, I don't know, but nonetheless, I'm glad that it's included. It looks pretty cool. And then you have an array of missiles for his forearm for both hands, for both arms. So you got the left and right. It is labeled underneath, and this has nice details on it, some rocket coming out, and it does have a blue light into it. And similar to Mark 6, the first one, it comes with that as well. So that comes as a no surprise. The price for this is kind of decent, honestly. It's $370, and not the one with the suit up version, of course. And this is for his shoulders. I believe those are like cannons as well. So Mark 6 he used in Iron Man 2, and you got the battle damage there. And then he also used this on Avengers. And for this particular figure, they named it for the Avengers. I think this is mostly what he used in the Avengers movie. Not so far. The Mark 7 is the one that is mostly recognized for the Avengers. But he only used it because he used it towards the battle at the end. But this is what he used, I would say, for the most part of the movie. You got the head sculpt and this base that he does have. Now let's take a closer look at the armor. And as any regular Iron Man figure, it would have, this is a classic look. It would have some red and gold trims all over it. The thigh armor could be removed with a magnet on it, but you won't be able to take advantage of it if you only, like myself, if you have the regular versions. This is mostly if you have the suit up version where you can insert plates and all that stuff. So for us normal human being, merely mortal, it doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. It's there, it's cool. And you can see there's armor chippings all over, so it blends in. It looks nice because once you put in the battle damage pieces, the chest armor and the head skull, now it's not like he's super pristine and only the chest is damaged. And also if you drop it and you happen to scuff the paint and all that, it would still kind of blend in. You see some kind of marks, where burnt marks, just overall you can see some chips on the side of the armor, and it is distributed evenly. I'm not even sure if that white thing is actually a part of because it does stand out, but let's pretend that you dropped it, right, and then you kind of damage the paint, then it still looks pretty okay compared to and then this would open up, and there's just a lot of details in this figure altogether. It is a beautifully crafted armor, and to be quite honest, most Iron Man figures are. This is the foundation. The Hot Toys was built on the foundation of Iron Man, and I think this would always be their best line of products. Even though there's a lot of good Hot Toys products out there, but Iron Man figures, it's hard to top when it comes to Hot Toys. And if you lift this panel up in his back, you can see there's also details that's gonna be revealed underneath that. And then there's some grills and iron pieces on the back, which I didn't even move. But if you desire so, you could. And for the light of functions, I suggest you read the manual. There's nothing, this is not USB powered, at least not yet. And then on the bicep, you can see there's a slot where you can put your fingernails and kind of like pluck it out. And the forearm right there, that is where you exchange it, which I would show later on. But again, if you need help on inserting that is pretty straightforward. Just read the manual. The head sculpt looks pretty cool, and now I'm just gonna lift up these two pieces, which is, it reveals some nice missiles on his shoulder. Now what you could do as well is remove the faceplate, and you can exchange it or light it up. It's pretty easy. It's not like Mark 43 back in the day. It's just held via magnet, and there you go. It's not that strong, but if you turn down the lights, because my lights are pretty intense, you can see it here. Again, nothing out of the ordinary here. This is not USB powered or anything like that. It looks good. The shape looks good. It's easy to insert on and off. More people are gonna have issues changing between this and the Tony Stark head sculpt because of the neck. One tip I have is push on the back of his neck forward. That is it. You just gotta push it forward, and you can remove the neck post, the entire neck of this figure. So you can insert the maybe I should do a video for that, but it's quite easy. It's an old trick that we've had for a long time now. But yeah, here you go, and then we replace it with the battle damage head sculpt. I mean faceplate, which is pretty cool. You can see it's really scratched up. There's a dent on the right hand side, well, my right, and it's really nice. And then you take off the chest armor, and it's not via magnet, it's friction based. You can put it there, and then you insert this battle damage chest piece as well, and there you go. So it would reveal a portion of the inner workings, and this is how kind of he looks like from afar between the head sculpt and the chest, and I think it looks pretty good. Again, it's not perfect because not everything's battle damaged, but hey, I think it works well, at least good enough. And the ever controversial head sculpt of Tony Stark. I couldn't find a head sculpt that resembles this, so normally you would see me with the transition and all that stuff, but not this time. No, it's hard. This face is, I don't know what to say. It is certainly not a 10, I can tell you that. More of a 7, maybe a 6, I don't know. You can see it from some angles, there's so many things going against this, like this texture of the face, right? Like you can see on the jawline, and I know Robert Downey is not a young guy, but on Avengers 1, he's younger than what he is now. But it feels like he's melting here. Like, it feels like it's just, he has too much makeup, and he's staying under the sun, and he's slowly melting. You can see it's rolling eyeball system, so I don't know if you can see from the hair, the line where you could remove the back panel of the hair, so you can have access through the joystick. But what's wrong with this? I think a lot. I think the texture of the skin, the eyes certainly throw off the likeness. I'm not a big fan of the expression, like he's smiling and he's not. Like, is he about to smile? Is he smirking? I am not sure, but yeah, combine those things and you get this. How often am I gonna use? And I'm glad to have a Tony Stark finally that has rolling eyeball system, but it's not the best. It's not even close. Up, look at that. Yeah, you can control the joystick just with your fingers. I think he's best when he's looking sideways. When he's looking straight forward, it's not. I'm not a big fan of it. I think they got the eye color correct, but because of the purse, the shape of the eye, I feel like that kind of threw the likeness off. And this is not even. Yeah, it looks even when I was doing it, but you get the idea. I think it gets closer, and I'm very careful with my word, closer, but it's not even. No. Articulation wise, it could look up by that much. You can push the head down, as you know. This has an own neck, so the shoulder pads can move around to make sure that you don't, that they're not rubbing off each other. This one is not detachable. The chest is. The elbows, for some reason, mine is a bit loose. I don't know about you guys, but let me know in the comments if yours is. There's some bicep swivel. As always with any other Iron Man, this has a lot of articulation. Again, you can move around some armor pieces on the hips. So if you want to have him with a ground pound pose, you can pull the legs down, pull it up. This is again to avoid any damage, rubbing off paint and all that stuff, or just damaging the figure altogether. There's certain ways to do about this. You can pull the legs down. Mine is still a little bit tough. Sometimes you gotta break it in first, when you first get a figure. Also, the waist does extend in and out, so you can pull it up. As you can see, it just goes up, and it gives you a broader range of motion on the abdomen section if you needed so, so it's there. So like I said, it's very fun to own an Iron Man if you haven't owned one. Now if you have, and you have a gazillion, it honestly feels just another Iron Man. But I have a project. I wanted to complete the 7 now. And on the back, those silver panels, I believe you can move them as well. I've never really posted them in this, in this look. Also at the bottom, you can see there's a lot of details on his calves. Nicely done for Mark 6, and the only armor so far that I know of, at least, that has a triangular arc reactor. So let's put him on some poses, and this is Tony Stark while melting on top of the building, holding his helmet. When there's a lot of people that says, I'm not even gonna use the head sculpt. That is very applicable on this one. I was about to say it's not that bad. It's I don't know if I would say it's borderline unusable. I probably wouldn't go that far. Maybe because I've seen like Mark 85 has better, like the clean version. Mark 50 I feel like has a better head sculpt. So, but you remove that out of the equation and you're looking at this just as a pure Iron Man. It looks fantastic. As you can see here, this is the helicarrier that he fixed on Avengers 1, where we have those laser on his arms, and then he has to go back and recycle them because I think it has to, refuel again. And he fixed that on Mark 7, but here, looking pretty good. Those effects does help with the illusion. Especially if you don't want to use Photoshop, you're in the video, you could do this. Looks pretty cool. And this is him, when they were in the forest, the first time we've seen him with Thor and Cap, when they have this kind of like, I don't know, they're fighting, they're fighting in the forest. The first time we've seen them all on the screen all together. It was a classic moment. So he does fit well, it's a traditional legacy armor, and you can never go wrong with the legacy armor, ever. The 1 to 7 will always have a place in any collectors out there, especially for any Iron Man fans. So I have the old Cap. I don't have that Thor. Hopefully they do an artisan version. But final thoughts on Avengers Mark 6, Iron Man. I think it's pretty cool. Good. If you can still get this, without an inflated price, I would say go ahead and do so. Because again, legacy armor looks pretty good. The head sculpt is a miss. The price wasn't too bad initially for $370. If you never had any, if you don't have Mark 4, if you don't have Mark 6, well, Mark 5 is still pretty much available. Mark 7 has been long sold out. This is a good armor. If you want a traditional classic Iron Man style, and then you can get this for retail, I would highly suggest this. Now, my favorite armor is Mark 4 because of the circular Mark reactor. Maybe they would redo that. Who knows, right? They haven't 2.0 the Diecast version yet, but there's gonna be a Mark 4. There's gonna be a Mark 4 coming up pretty soon, but it's in quarter scale. So if you want to go that route, but if you're only a 1/6 collector, this is not a bad option. Most people would probably prefer Mark 7 first, and I don't blame them. I'm also a big fan of Mark 7. I do have Mark 7, but you can't go wrong with this. Accessories a bit, it is what it is, but the fact that you can change to battle damage pieces is a plus. Is a plus for me. But yeah, let me know down in the comments how you feel about this. Did you get this? Do you recommend the one with the suit up, the big version that's kind of expensive? I always wanted to have that, but I don't have the space. But if you have one, let me know what your experience is. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you like this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.